Good morning and welcome. I am just going to lead you through a little bit of a flow here. Let's say this is going to be kind of a normal practice for me. So let's say it's going to be kind of moderate. We're going to target our core a little bit of arms, a little bit of hips and legs. So kind of full body all over. Just get things moving. Coming to an all fours position in tabletop here. Squeeze the elbows forward and together, plant the hands, and just do a couple rolls with the spine. So starting at the pelvis, tuck the pelvis in and round through the top of the spine, and then untuck the pelvis and uncurl the head. So tuck the pelvis and round through the whole spine, pushing against the floor, and then untuck the pelvis here and roll it out. Open the chest, pull the collarbones through, tuck the pelvis in, roll through, push against the ground, get a nice stretch through the upper back, and untuck here. Breathe in at the top and exhale last time. And then find sort of a more neutral position here. Once again, bring those elbow pits together and forward. I'm just going to warm up the scapulas here. So a couple sort of scapular push-ups. So I'm thinking about bringing my chest down to the floor, not just my chin like this. The whole chest and thorax is moving in between the shoulder blades. The shoulder blades are coming together and then pushing the ground away. Coming together, pushing, coming together, and pushing the ground away. Now start to sort of move the thorax in between the shoulder blades. So my shoulder blades and arms are kind of moving like a wave, rippling from each other. And my thorax is sort of circling and doing a similar kind of wave and circle motion here. Try the other way. Pushing through the palms of the hands, still thinking about trying to squeeze those elbows together, chin back and down. Nothing too much from the hips. We're really focusing on getting that thorax moving, that rib cage and upper body. One more here. And then give your wrists a little shake if you need. And then we'll do just the hips. So just nice circles through the hips. If you're like me, you'll maybe hear some little creaks and cracks, or just getting the body warmed up here. So I'm sort of untucking and tucking my pelvis as I roll through. Yes, my upper body sort of looks like it's moving, and it relatively is, but the motion is coming and starting from the pelvis. Okay. When that feels complete, just let it go. And then we're gonna tuck the toes and push into a bit of a bear position, hovering here. Hover there for a moment and relax. Try that again. Reset the shoulders, and this time bring the belly button and try to squeeze the core in. So I'm just getting a little bit of contraction here, and then I'm hovering up. Now that I'm here, I'm just going to walk side to side. See if you can maintain some control through that core. Roll the wrists out. One more time here, walking side to side. And send it back into a child's pose position. Forehead to the floor, bum as close to the ankles as possible. Just getting nice and comfortable. Maybe roll the forehead back and forth. A little extra through the neck here. We will get into a little bit of neck work as well. Open that up. Okay, next, a little bit more core activation here. Back leg out, front arm forward, opposites here. Bring knee to elbow, stretch it out, and come back in. And on that in, we're making sure that the spine is straight and stable, as well as the belly is pulled in and tight, contracting. We don't want to be bulging through the core. Last one here, switch sides, opposite elbow to knee, making sure we're stable through the spine, neck is nice and long. No, not too much play through that supporting limbs. So the hip that's keeping you stable is nice and firm. And relax here. Couple more rolls through the spine, making sure everything's nice and warmed up. And I'm just going to switch positions here. We're going to come into downward facing dog. So in my down dog here, my heels are coming towards the floor. They do not have to touch. My hands are planted and my belly is pulling up and contracting in, especially with those exhales. Inhale through the rib cage, bringing length and width through the sides of the ribs. And just exhaling, letting that belly contract, come nice and close. And just let the head fall. Really push into your hands and feet here so that we can send the tailbone up and back towards the sky. And we're going to do a few plank rolls. Hi, Nina. And on an in-breath here, just hold, and then on the exhale, rolling forward nice and slow. So in and rolling out. In and rolling out. Scooping up and in with the belly. And rolling out. Up and in with the belly. And rolling out. Up and in. And rolling out. One more time here. Pelvis to the sky. Rolling out. Hold that plank position. See if you can squeeze through the abdominals. Bracing and not bulging through that core. Come down to the knees and all the way into our little cobra here. Roll the shoulders back. Coming up through the chest. Plant the hands by the chest wherever they're comfortable here. Few rounds. Squeezing that chin towards the chest and the neck. One more time here. I want you to send your arms forward, so we're coming into a little bit of a mini cobra here. Your feet can be separated to bring a little bit more spaciousness through the low back, and come to whatever height feels good for you. So if your cobra sort of looks like this, that's fine. Just come to this height. You can always use a block or something supportive under your rib cage to kind of keep you here as well. For me, I'm comfortable on my elbows like this, shoulders back. I'm going to tuck the chin, and we're just going to do a few neck rolls here. So chin to chest, and then rolling all the way down, opening up the neck here, rolling in one direction, getting into some nice and juicy spots. One more time this direction, and then we're going to switch it up. So switch to the other side. Rolling through the neck. Getting everything released and relaxed For me, the sides feel so good. And that extension. When that feels complete there, just drop it down and we're gonna roll all the way over onto our back. Again, just a little bit of neck work here. So I'm just bringing a block. You could use a pillow, whatever you have on hand, kind of underneath the body here. I'm also gonna just sort of prop myself up a little bit to give myself a little bit more room. What we're gonna do here is just some neck work. So bringing that neck all the way down into extension as long as it's pain-free, and then lifting up. So really bringing space on that extension, and then pulling up and through into this kind of double chin face. So lifting back. This is really challenging because our anterior neck muscles, the neck muscles in the front, are often, just with how we use our technology these days, they're often a little bit shortened and weak, contracted in a short state. So this is a great challenge to just wake up those neck muscles, remind our body that they're there. 2 more here, nice into extension, really dangle that head down, using those muscles to get up. Last one. Okay, take your block out, flipping once more. Just let that settle in for a second. You might feel a little bit of sensation through the front of the neck, and that's okay. It's just those neck muscles working. Roll the shoulders all the way back. We're gonna kind of press up onto the knees and then come all the way through plank into our downward facing dog here again. So hands are planted, feet are firm to the floor, balls of the feet, at least your heels may not touch, and that is okay. And we're just gonna do a few circles with our legs here. So send the right foot up to the ceiling and just circle it around. If this feels a little bit too challenging with the leg all the way straight, just bend your knee and focus on doing your hip circles that way. But what we want here is we want to be able to extend, turn out into what's called external rotation, and then come around and then in through internal rotation, extending back, flipping it around, getting out to the side in external rotation, and then coming into internal rotation across the body and all the way around. One more here, getting all areas of the hip, other side. So we're gonna point the toes, and again, you could just do with the knee bent if that feels better for you, but otherwise we're coming all the way through hip circles. I'm hitting the couch here, so I'm just bending my leg a little bit, trying to for that external rotation, and then flipping to internal rotation, just coming a little bit behind the leg, out to the side as much as possible, all the way around, really getting into that hip. Few more times here. Here we go. One more time. You got this. Coming back and returning to our downward facing dog, lifting up the heels, sending them back to the floor for a moment, lifting up the heels, bend the knees, step, walk, or hop towards your hands, bring it up into sort of this halfway lift, and then let it all hang out in this nice hamstring stretch. Give yourself a really generous bend through the knees if you need, and then slowly kind of roll the spine all the way up. Take arms to the side, nice big breath coming all the way up, and then all the way back down to the ground as far as possible for you. You may not touch the ground, and that's fine. It's getting a little bit of a stretch through the back of the hamstrings here. Again, let the head and neck hang. We're just going to look side to side really gently in whatever range of motion is available for you, as long as it's pain-free. And just one more breath here. We're going to step back into a lunge here with our knee placed on the floor. Bring the arms up. And so I've got my right leg in front of me here, left leg behind, and just rotate towards the right. Bring the arms up and rotate out. If it feels a bit much with the arms, you can just rotate to the side, hands across your chest. Coming up, finding length on the inhale and twisting on that exhale. Pushing the feet and the knee into the ground. One more rotation here. Coming down, pressing through that back leg, and then we're coming into a full lunge here. So, and then bringing arms and body up. Gonna do a couple pulses here. One more, knee to the ground, come back up. Stay strong in your lunge here. Your back leg can be a little bit bent. Feet are sort of hip width apart. In like this, and then we're going to do those same rotations on this side here. One more here. And we're going to spin it all the way out and come into sort of a more warrior two position. So legs are spaced far apart. Front leg, foot is facing this way to the front. Back leg, foot is to the side, parallel to a wall behind you. Just gonna hold here, a couple breaths, maybe bounce, pulse into that knee. See if you can get some engagement through the core. Bring the arms up to the top and then just shift the body weight forward and back. You'll find a nice stretch through the ribs here. So this is my downward facing, warrior two. Stretching here. Using that core. Think about pulling the feet together. Straighten through that front leg. Come into more of a triangle position here. Really start to open the chest, rotate up and around forward. Looking up towards the ceiling here. Really getting a nice stretch through the body. Bring that arm around. We're just going to windmill it a couple times here. Again, maybe with the arm playing with internal and external rotation. So just flipping through the arm socket as we go. And then bend into that front knee and just start to slowly transfer weight towards that front leg. If you need a block or you have something to hold on to, no problem. Use it for your balance here. We're just gonna stay here for a couple moments. Sending that back leg out, pushing away from the body, nice and stable through the core. Connecting, maybe pulling that chin in, making sure that that bottom foot is staying nice and planted through all four corners of the foot. One nice big breath here. And exhale really gingerly. Just start to rotate the hips down. Maybe touch that leg to the ground. Find a block or surface you can hold on to if you need. Make sure that you're sending the hips back. So we're sort of stacked over our foot here, and we're just going to gently work between internal and external rotation. So we're rotating the pelvis over that hip, really getting into the hip muscles here, challenging the balance, connecting with the core. If you need to sort of, use more things for balance, a few blocks, a couple of water bottles, the wall, whatever works. We're just moving, dipping that hip down and then pushing it up towards the ceiling. Last one here. End with a little bit of a staggered split. And then come back into that lunge position, all the way back into downward facing dog. Take a nice big breath here. And exhale. On an inhale, pull it forward, a little bit of a flow here. Come all the way down to the ground if you need, into cobra or up into upward facing dog, and then pulling and scooping through the abdominals, over the toes, coming back into that downward facing dog. Send the left foot up to the sky, bring it forward, coming into that front lunge again on this side here. So arms are coming up. We're going to start rotating through the front of the body. Again, if you want to bring the arms across the chest, that's fine too. I just like the flow of the arms. Breathe deep into the rib cage, finding expansion through the ribs. Maybe a gentle stretch through the hip flexor here. One more time, open it up. Hold for a moment. See if you can find a little bit more rotation. On an inhale, bring it up. And coming all the way down into a higher lunge. Send the arms all the way up. Few pulses here. Just bringing that back right knee towards the ground. Front knee is strong and stable. One more here. And then hold in that lunge position. Your back knee can be a little bit bent, whatever feels good. Tuck the pelvis under a little bit more so that you're pushing forward, arms up, and then rotate to the side. So rotate to the same direction of what leg is in front. Make sure that front foot is staying nice and planted. Legs are scissoring towards one another, really firing up those glutes and inner thighs. One more on the side here. Coming up through center and then spin it all the way out into our warrior two. So heels kind of midsection of the back foot. That back foot is pointing parallel to the wall, and that front foot is facing forward. Again, think about sort of tucking the pelvis, reaching out of it through the ribs here, getting nice and long, really getting into that front leg, trying to be a little bit more parallel, stacked knee over ankle, reaching through the arms. One more breath here, and exhale, come up to more of a straight leg and just tip the body forward into more of a triangle position here. Begin to rotate the chest away from the leg, up towards the ceiling, looking towards the ceiling, bringing the eye gaze, the drishti up if you can, and just feeling that stretch along the side body, opening up through here, bringing in a little bit of core engagement so that you can expand through the rib cage more as we breathe in, pushing through the feet. Nice and stable here. And then just windmill the arm a few times, really opening up through the chest and moving that arm into some external and internal rotation as feels good. Your upper body can come with you to exaggerate that motion, bringing in a little bit of space through that shoulder joint. And push all the way up, bend back into that knee for more of that warrior two, hands to the sky if it works for you, and just a few touches through the core here, a little bit more side stretching. Pushing up through the feet, but really we're just moving the core. Hips are nice and stable here. Squeezing in on that exhale. expanding through the ribs on the inhale. One more time here. Plant it down. And then just slowly start to send your body forward into that stacked position again. You could use a block here if you need to get the body a little bit more level. Sending this back foot all the way back, pushing out, really working into that left hip, trying to rotate through the rib cage here, expanding on the inhales, and really feeling that core engagement through the pelvic floor, through the core on those exhales. Really using that to help us with our balance and stability. Few more breaths here. Holding, stretching, reaching, twisting, lifting, all the motions here. And then slowly rotate that hip down. Find a wall or a couple blocks, something you can sort of support yourself with. We're just going to focus on that left hip now, really rotating. So I'm getting down through that hip, finding internal rotation through the pelvis, and then extending, rotating away, similar to that position that we were just in. Make sure that that hip is stacked further over the ankle. Really working that glutes, plural, all of the glutes working together to really find that rotation through the hip and that power in a range that can often be lost, but is so integral to the stability and support of our pelvis, our pelvic floor, our diaphragm, core, low back, all of the connections through that core area of our body. One more here, really firing up that glute, feeling it through there. I know I am. I lied. One more now. There we go. Coming all the way back into that lunge position, and then sending the legs back, downward facing dog. Nice big breath here. Expanding in through the ribcage, bringing air in through the back body, and exhale. Feeling that core. One more big breath here, and exhale. And on your next inhale, we're gonna roll it out into our plank position here. Send it all the way down and up. And then coming all the way back into our downward facing dog. Okay, something a little fun. Keep the heart rate up here. So just bouncing up and down on the heels a couple times, and then look forward towards your hands and really gently just kind of push your body off and bring it back down. If you don't have this full range, that's fine. We're just gonna play back and forth with a few of these hops. So hopping up and back and up and back and up. Maybe the body's hovering for just a moment, working on that arm strength and balance. One more. Okay, pedal it out here. Drop the knees down. Come all the way into a child's pose. Roll the head back and forth. All the way into those hips. Rolling the hips back and forth. Taking just a moment here. Powerful breaths. Okay, inhale, coming up into an all fours. tuck the toes, push all the way up into that downward facing dog, pick up the right leg, send it up to the ceiling, and then forward across to the elbow. Bring it all the way back, really tuck in through that core, engage through those lower abdominals, coming all the way up, all the way through the center. This is the last one, knee to nose, and then one time back, and then bring the leg all the way forward, coming all the way through, up into our lunge position here. 2 more pulses, and then we're going to spin it out into that warrior 2. This time the foot's going to come in a little bit more. We're just going to come down into this full side lunge. So few lunges here. If you can, when you get down, we're just going to internally rotate the leg, bring it all the way up, out, onto the bum, internally rotate, all the way up and out, to the floor, internally rotate. If you can't get all the way down, that's okay. If this is what your side lunge looks like, that's fine. Bring it here and then get yourself back up. 2 more reps. Last one. And we're going to switch it to the other side. Send it over. Back and down. Internal rotation if you've got it. You can see, for me, my right side was a little more fluid, a little stronger on the right for me, a little clunkier on this side, and that's okay. I'm just noticing that in my body. There's no judgment here. Just finding out different things about my body. That's the beauty of a good movement practice. And again, if your side lunge is to here, that's beautiful. Just due to their working on that range every step of the way. One more here. Ooh, pushing all the way up. And then just let the body relax, come through the center. Deep forward fold. Just releasing through the hips, trying to tip that pelvis forward to bring a little bit of more length through the hip flexors. Keeping those toes and feet nice and broad. Getting into the 4 corners of the feet. Just shake out the neck a little bit. Looking side to side. Maybe nod the head. Yes and no. Letting those muscles release and relax. One more deep breath here. And on an inhale, just start to slowly, we're just going to raise the upper body here. So we're keeping our hips nice and stable, and we're in sort of like, we want to think about pushing the pelvis out. So that pelvis is opening up, pushing out. And then we're just going to slowly start to rotate the body in each direction. So this movement is coming from the upper body, coming from the thorax. You can bring your hands to your rib cage to remind yourself that, or you can bring it out to the side, sort of back and forth, whatever feels good. So pelvis is nice and stable. We're just working on moving that thorax side to side. You can even bring the arm all the way up if that range feels available to you. Couple more on each side. Trying to exhale. Just slight engagement through the bottom of that core. And relax. You might feel that through the back muscles, and that's good. A little bit of engagement there. Just let that release. I'm just kind of moving my knees side to side, little gentle. This sort of rocking movement tells my body that it's safe. Okay, and slowly just crawl your legs away and then push yourself back into this downward facing dog. We're going to come forward all the way down onto our belly. Roll the shoulder back. Uncurl the spine and relax. Coming all the way down. Send your arms out to the front and just release for a moment. A little bit more working into the back body here. Take your opposite arm to leg and just slowly start to reach them up and back down, up and back down, up and back down, opposites up and down, and then all four up and back down. So 2 arms, 2 legs, up and back down, up, reach, hold, extend, reach through the arms and legs, maybe flex the toes or point them, whatever feels good, so you can get that reach, less crunching through the low back. Reaching 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just relax. Let everything relax. Maybe bring your elbows in, make yourself a little pillow, maybe rock your hips side to side. Let that low back really release from all the work that you've done. Switch sides if you're resting on one side of your neck and head. Couple breaths here. Send them into the ribs, in through the back body. Opening up. One more breath here. Slowly unfold that right arm. I'm going to push up through the left. Get that shoulder kind of rolled back and down. Press into the ground firmly. And then just start to slowly rotate over. You can drop the head or put it on a block if you need. Just a little bit of a pec opener here. This other arm is just sort of supporting me. I'm kind of twisted my bottom half of my body over. My chest is sort of to the side, but also to the ceiling. Just rotate it away from the ground to really get in through that chest. A few more breaths here. Push that right arm into the floor, kind of engage those muscles, and then just relax and release. One more breath here. And exhale, coming all the way down. Send the left arm out to the side. Flip the body. Roll that shoulder back as much as possible. Oh, I'm tight on this side. Whew. It's good. Taking some deep breaths, sending them into the pec, through the upper body. Into the arms. One more juicy breath here. Nice and full. Expand through the rib cage into that arm, and then exhale. Bring it all back down to the ground. Again, bring your head to the floor. Maybe make yourself a little forehead pillow. Shake the hips out. Couple breaths here. One more deep breath, and then slowly just bring yourself up to a more seated position. Bring your legs forward. We're going to come into this kind of 90-90 stretch here. Sit tall through the legs. Flex through the feet. Just see if you can get this portion of the hip to relax. Maybe you need a block underneath your hips to help yourself sit up a little bit taller. Really getting into this stretch here. Rotating the thorax towards the front leg. Just letting everything get quiet for a moment. And then slowly, I just want you to start engaging this leg and inner thigh as if to try and rotate this portion into the floor. So we're going to try and work on that internal rotation of the thigh. So we're just sort of trying to rotate towards the floor. You might see the heel come up a little bit. That's fine. Just rotate at that end range. We're just challenging ourselves. Doesn't have to be a ton of effort. Just seeing if we can create that movement in our body in this position. And relax. Again, see if you can just rotate through that leg into the floor, driving that knee and inner thigh towards the floor. Aiming for that internal rotation of the thigh. You might be feeling it through all the different glutes here. A little bit of core engagement. One more breath here, and relax and release. One more breath, and we'll just finish that with one more round here. So try to engage that inner thigh and that rotation, really getting through that leg. See if you can find it on the inside of your leg, and then you should be feeling it also through the sides of the glutes and the back underneath here. This muscle here will be engaged. Try not to do all the action with this upper hip. We really want to focus on kind of integrating those other parts of the thigh and the hip and not just the hip flexor. And relax and release that there. Shift your body so you can come to the other side. And again, if you need that block, great. Stay up on that block. We're 90-90 on the other side. So this leg is parallel out here. I don't have a lot of external rotation, so that's why my knee is way up here right now. And flex those feet, but I've got 90 degrees everywhere. I'm 90 through here, 90 through the front, and then 90 through the back. Start to rotate the body away towards that front foot. And then we'll start to engage through here, through the inner thigh. Think about rotating into the floor so that thigh is kind of coming in towards. Working on that internal rotation, which is one that we often lack, especially in strength. You might feel the core sort of wanting to pull up and in. That's great. Go with that, engage through there to help assist that internal rotation, and then relax and release. See if you can get this hip flexor a little bit more released in there. We really want to think about getting these glutes involved, all those internal rotators. So again, set yourself up, start to turn away, and then really focus on internal rotation through the thigh, rotating in towards the floor. Finding that strength. If it helps you to think about lifting that heel slightly off the floor, do it. Pulling in. Try not to get too kind of crunched through the side body or through the hip flexor. Really think about rotating that thigh in. And relax. We're going to do one more round here. And start to rotate in. Just creating some internal rotation through the thigh. Really trying to find it in the glutes, which I find so difficult on this side. Trying to let that hip flexor release a little bit so that we can use our other surrounding hip muscles. So find that internal rotation, working through the glutes. One more breath here, and release that. And then just slowly, gently kind of roll the legs back and forth. Come down all the way to the ground on your back. Let your feet touch the floor, your knees are bent, and your arms are sort of out wherever they're comfortable here. I'm just going to do a few pelvic tucks. So just kind of roll, push the back and the low back and the spine into the ground so that the pelvis kind of tucks up and in, and then just uncurl that here. So we're just going back and forth. And so tucking forward, and so lifting the pelvis, flattening, so pushing the low back into the floor, and then unrolling that, starting at the base of the pelvis. One more time here, really seeing if you can control that abdominal engagement, and then release. Slowly let the legs go long. Just release the arms wherever they need to be. Maybe you have them out in sort of a T shape for now. Nestle those shoulder blades underneath your body. Bring a little bit more space in between the shoulders and the ears. Just let everything relax. Let your face muscles settle. Let your feet flop wherever they need to go. Let your calves release. Get rid of any tension through your knees and quads. Let the pelvis sink heavy into the floor. Feel the natural curvature of the spine, where it touches the floor through the upper back and the shoulder blades are nestled against maybe a little bit of spaciousness between the neck and the floor, coming all the way into the base of the skull. Letting your chest muscles relax and release. Letting the arms be open, no tension through the wrists or hands. Let the front of the neck be heavy. Heavy towards the back of the floor. Let your jaw relax. Release any tension held here. Let the breath fill the lungs and exhale through the mouth. And maybe you let out an audible sigh. Feel that ripple away from the body. Let your eyes get heavy and drain into the back of the skull. Let the thoughts drift away. let them float by like clouds on a sunny day. Let your body release into the floor. Release into the earth. If it feels good, bring one hand to the belly and one hand to the heart. Thank yourself for taking this time for you, for your body, for your movement, for your practice, for your life. I have gratitude to each and every one of you for joining me today. Namaste. Enjoy the rest of your day.